Share desktop. All right, now we're good to go. Apologize for that little blip in getting started there. A little technical issues, but we are all good to go. So to officially get us started, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world today. My name is Phil Bowers. I am the Director of Marketing here at Grandstream. Today, I am also joined by Hugh Nguyen, who is our Director of Technical Support for North America and for Asia Pacific. And we are incredibly excited about today's topic. I think it's easy to say that this is the most anticipated product that Grandstream has ever come out with. And we can judge that just purely based off the popularity of this webinar. We had almost 1,000 people registered for this webinar. I did not look at the final listings before we jumped on here, but we were close to 1,000 people. So you can see how really anticipated and looked forward to this product or this ecosystem is, and we're really excited to so before we get going, as I mentioned, we have Hugh Nguyen, who is in the chat, certainly with, as many people as we have here today. Probably going to be a little bit more difficult to, really answer questions in the chat, but Hugh will monitor it and answer any, common questions that do come in. We can go through any common questions at the end as well. So just before we get started, I do want to point out that this is a product sneak peek. This product, or all of the products we're going to talk about here today, are not yet released. They are set to be released towards the end of this month or the beginning of November. So today is basically an initial sneak peek overview. We'll be providing more details specifically on the technical aspect of this product over the next couple of weeks or month as we gear up to the official launch of the product. And we actually have a technical webinar scheduled in a couple of weeks. So just wanted to get that out of the way before we start. Just a reminder, it is a product sneak peek. So we will be providing more details over the next couple of weeks in addition to what you see here today. With that out of the way, as I mentioned, this is probably the most anticipated product or ecosystem or whatever you want to call it that we've ever come out with here at Grandstream. Many of you in our channel have probably heard a little bit about this over the last couple of months from behind the scenes. This is something that we've been working on throughout the course of the entire year, and we are so incredibly excited to bring it to the market here within the next month. This is our UCM6300 series ecosystem. It is it builds on the popularity and the foundation that we've built with our UCM series of IP PBXs over the last 6 to 7 years, and really introduces here not just a unified communication solution, but a true unified communication and collaboration platform that is able to support on-site and remote users. So basically anyone can work with this new platform from anywhere using any device. And throughout the course of today's webinar, I'm going to introduce you to this entire ecosystem, how it works together, each individual part as well. So let's jump into it. So the UCM6300 series ecosystem, really, again, the main focus of this solution is to allow businesses to support both on-site and remote workers and to truly communicate and to collaborate from anywhere on any device. It pairs the customizability and control of an on-premise IP PBX, our UCM6300 series, with the remote access and the flexibility of a cloud platform, along with a mobile and a desktop app. And what it creates is, again, like I mentioned a moment ago, a true unified communication and collaboration platform that is really a hybrid between both an on-premise and a cloud platform, allows you to support workers anywhere in the world on any device using a Grandstream UCM6300 series. So again, the reliability and the control of an on-premise solution and the power and the flexibility of a cloud solution is what the UCM6300 series ecosystem offers. So what am I talking about specifically? What are the parts of this ecosystem? There's one other part, but we'll get to that later on. It's something, our GDMS platform that's already out there. So these are the 3 new products that will be product solution services that will be introduced. And these are the 3 main components of the UCM6300 series ecosystem. It starts with the UCM6300 series. Obviously, you know, many of you or all of you, I'm sure, are familiar with our UCM series of PBXs, which is Acer-based, been out on the market for 6-7 years now. This is the 3rd generation, so it just increases the capacity, increases the functionality, and really what we've done is surrounded it with this cloud platform and mobile app and the GrandStream device management system, just to make it all be able to extend to users outside the local network to support workers anywhere on any device with a UCM. So we have the UCM6300 series. I'll go through all the devices and the specs of that in a second. And then we have the Wave app. Some of you are familiar with GrandStream Wave, I'm sure, which has been our free open source soft phone app that we've had for a while. That's not going anywhere. That will be called Wave Lite. And what this Wave app is it really truly allows anyone to communicate using a UCM63 from anywhere on any device. Desktop platform for PC and Mac, as well as a mobile app for iOS and Android. This is not just for video meetings, and we'll talk about in a second how there's a whole meeting platform built into this UCM 6300 series, one of the greatest enhancements from our previous generations. So yeah, it really allows you to use desktop or mobile to, again, not just make and receive video calls, but it's, you know, basically a more or less a desktop soft phone, allowing you to make and receive voice and video calls, schedule meetings, whatnot, from any of those devices. And we'll go through all of this in detail in the next couple of, or over the next 20 to 30 minutes or so. And then the third piece is our UCM RemoteConnect cloud service. This is a NAT firewall traversal, which basically the goal of it is to allow you to very easily create secure remote connections, especially for those that are using the Wave app, back to the on-prem UCM 6300 series device. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, the specs and everything that goes involved. But again, the main part of UCM RemoteConnect is to allow the secure remote connections through Wave or through any GrandStream IP endpoint back to the UCM 6300 series, and all of this is managed centrally through GDMS. And so throughout the course of the rest of the webinar, I'm going to start with the UCM, then go through Wave, and go through the UCM RemoteConnect, give you a little bit more details and specs on these and what you can expect. So we're going to start as we go through talking about the individual pieces of this platform. We're going to start with the UCM 6300 series. That is the brand new 3rd generation UCM series IP PBX that will be launched along with this ecosystem towards the end of the month or in early November. So the whole platform, the whole ecosystem really revolves around having a UCM 6300 series device. And then, just like we mentioned a moment ago, to allow users to communicate and collaborate from anywhere on any device, it pairs with the GrandStream Wave, or what we're just calling just pure Wave, the Wave app, and then to create seamless remote connections for remote IP endpoints, or for the Wave app, we have UCM RemoteConnect, and the whole platform, the whole ecosystem can be managed and set up through the GrandStream device management system, which hopefully many of you already know and are familiar with. So here's a little bit of a diagram of just kind of, you know, a little bit more visual example of really what this whole ecosystem offers. Again, it allows a business using a UCM to support both on-site and remote workers and have a tremendous amount of flexibility within that. For remote workers, or those that might be in, the other example here is multiple different offices, even if it might not be remote. A lot of businesses are also, you know, moving to a hybrid model where employees are sometimes in the office and sometimes not. So this whole ecosystem is really catered at that hybrid business that has remote workers or on-site workers, or those that have multiple different offices. So you have a central UCM 6300 series IP PBX that can be accessed remotely with the Wave app, or obviously with SIP endpoints as well. You can pair Grandstream's GUV series of personal collaboration devices with the Wave app, and all that connection for remote users, whether it be through the Wave app or to other endpoints, can be created and secured using UCM RemoteConnect. Again, we'll go into that later. And then the bottom half there is the on-premise solution, which also allows you to build, just like you used to with the UCM series, a full on-prem solution, and here to also pair it up with the ability to be able to support hybrid or off-site remote workers, users, whatnot. And then all of this, again, can be centrally managed and configured from the Grandstream device management system. All right, so let's go through the UCM6300 series models. There are 4 different models within. Again, we're taking a step back here from the whole ecosystem, and this is talking about specifically the UCM series, what we've called an IP-PBX and what is an IP-PBX, but what we're now calling a true unified communications and collaboration solution. And if you're looking for the biggest enhancement of this from our previous UCM, that collaboration term is really kind of the biggest thing that's new with it. So let's go through these models. So again, just like everyone's used to, our UCM 60, or the whole UCM series, since it was launched back in 2013, provides a high-end unified communication solution packed with an ecosystem of voice, video, data, mobility, security, and now collaboration tools. Gives you everything you're used to from our previous UCM series of IP-PBXs, really the ability to combine all Grandstream devices and solutions onto one common network with other IP and SIP endpoints to really create a full business unified communication solution. And what we've added to the UCM series here is really that collaboration. You see the term unified communications and collaboration. We've added that and collaboration in a whole bunch of different places, which is obviously on purpose because, as the second bullet point there mentions, the new UCM series has, or 6300 series, has a built-in web meetings and video conferencing solution. It's built right into the PBX. It's not an extra feature. It's not something you have to subscribe to or buy. There's no licenses or anything. It is all just built right into the device, and you get the full functionality of that at the upfront purchase price. And we'll, as we go through the models, I'll mention how many users it supports within those meetings and video calls and audio attendees and all that. But that really is one of the biggest things. Aside from that, the 6300 series is designed to really increase the capacity that is able to support. We're now, with the high-end UCM 6300 series device, able to support up to 5,000 users. And again, I'll mention as we go through, so that is a major increase from the previous UCM 6200 series, for example. We talked about the ecosystem before, which allows the UCM 6300 series really to just reach outside of the local network and allow businesses to build a truly remote, hybrid, flexible communications and collaboration platform that can be accessed from anywhere on any device. And this new UCM 6300 series will be integrated with the Grandstream device management system, like every other piece of this ecosystem we're going to talk about is, which allows you to monitor, set it up, deploy it, and monitor it centrally. So mentioned 4 different models, like I'm sure you guys are used to. The last number in that model name kind of, well, specifically addresses a port account, and we'll go through that as we go. But 4 different models: 6301, 6302, 6304, 6308. As you can imagine, it increases capacity as you move from the left to the right. And as you can see in the picture here, the 04 and the 08 are rack-mountable devices. So we'll start off with the UCM 6301. This is, as it mentions, they're ideal for small and medium-sized companies. This supports 500 users or extensions built in, 100 concurrent calls, 75 SRTP encrypted calls. But talking to the collaboration support that it offers, has a built-in web meetings and video conferencing. So that means just all of the UCM devices include this. And so what that means is that it enables you to pair it with Grandstream GVC devices you might have in Office, but then to also have the web meeting functionality or the ability to hold web-only meetings. So the 6301 supports meetings that can host up or hold up to 12 full 1080p HD video attendees and up to 75 total attendees through audio. So right there with this built-in, you know, the 6301 has a built-in, again, support for up to web meetings, video conferences with up to 12 video feeds and up to 75 audio attendees. And that is all accessible. To relate this to something we're going to talk about, that whole platform is through the Wave app. The Wave app is the conferencing platform through here. It's the way that you would access it off-site, on a desktop or on a mobile device or a smart device, is through the Wave app to access this video and web meetings platform remotely. Obviously, you can also add IP endpoints into it too. 6301 has one FXO port, one FXS port. You got a gigabit WAN port, a gigabit LAN port, a general gigabit port, standard 12 volt input there. Always like to throw this up because there's always a lot of curiosity or questions around the port specifically on these devices. So one FXS, one FXO port. 6302 doubles the amount of users, supports up to 1,000 users or 1,000 endpoints, 200 concurrent calls, 100 of those SRTP encrypted. And this increases the meeting and conferencing support from the 6301. Here you get 20 video attendees and up to 150 audio attendees. And just like I mentioned again, this is accessible from PC or desktop through the Wave app. So again, that built-in, let me go back, that built-in communication, or the built-in web meetings and conferencing platform is really one of the biggest enhancements and the biggest new things here to the 6300 series. Here's the ports for the 6302. You get 2 FXO ports, 2 FXS ports, same amount of gigabit ports as the 6301. Leave this up here for just a second. I'm actually going to take a quick drink of water here. So the one thing you may have noticed in the picture earlier that's also kind of a new enhancement, and this is probably certainly more to the installers or the IT managers out there. The device, both all of them, but here we're showing you the 6301, 6302, have that built-in LCD screen right on the front. It is a color LCD screen, 320 by 240. Is a touchscreen as well, so it just makes it easy to access major information right off the bat from the device. And as it shows you over there on the right, the 6301 has one USB 3.0 and one SD card slot, and the 6302 is going to give you 2 different USB ports. One is 2.0, one is 3.0. And then you have that SD card slot there as well, basically for expandable memory or, you know, adding music on hold from a USB, for example. Moving along here through the UCM models, the UCM 6304 is the second highest capacity model within the series. These the 6304 and 08, as I mentioned, or as you saw earlier, are rack mountable, as you can see right there on the device. This gives you quite an increased capacity from the 6302. This supports up to 2,500 extensions or users, 350 concurrent calls, and the built-in meetings and conferencing platform supports up to 40 video attendees and up to 200 audio attendees. And again, this collaboration meeting conferencing platform on all these devices is built in. There's no extra cost to get it. There's no licenses to purchase. There's no subscription. It is built right into the device. There's nothing else you have to do to use it or activate it. 6304 ports, the same 3 gigabit ports as the other 2 models. You've got 4 FXO ports and 4 FXS ports here on the 6304. You can see where that number comes from. Yeah, so we'll keep moving along here. The 6308, this is the highest capacity model. This gives us the ability to support up to 5,000 extensions or users, which is the greatest capacity that we have offered in a UCM series device. 500 concurrent calls, and here the meetings and collaboration platform supports up to 60 video attendees and up to 250 audio attendees. Again, this is all built right in, no extra cost to access it, no licensing fees, no subscriptions, nothing. 6308, again, the 08 speaks to FXS and FXO ports. You got 8 FXS, 8 FXO, the same 3 gigabit ports that you get on the other 3 devices. And just like we showed you earlier on the 6301, 6302, you've got the LCD screen built right into it. As these are rack mountable devices, obviously you don't have the amount of space that you have by putting it on the top like we do with the other 2. So it's a little bit smaller of a screen, but you have the ability to cycle through and access all the same information right there on the LCD. And just like the other 2 devices, you have USB and SD card slots on both of these, 2 USB 3.0 ports, and 1 SD card interface on both. Excuse me. So here is so now I'm going to start to transition over to the rest of the ecosystem, the Wave app and the UCM RemoteConnect. Just before we transition past this, here's just a quick comparison chart of the 4 different models across the top. They're all going to give you that built-in conferencing and collaboration, and it kind of mentions as you go there not only how many parties it supports, but also rooms, and that's something I should have touched on earlier. So for example, the 6301 mentioned it supports 12 parties or 12 video feeds and 75 audio attendees. There are 2 different rooms, so you can have 2 meetings at the same time. That moves all the way up to the 6308, which actually has 8 built-in rooms, and as I mentioned, each has 60 the ability to host 60 video attendees and 300 audio attendees right there from that device. So it's another thing that I should have mentioned earlier is the multiple rooms that it offers. You mentioned the ports, the network interfaces. All of these models do have a built-in NAT router. Anything else here? I'm just looking through here real fast, see what we should mention. Does support H.265 video codec. That is another thing that is worth mentioning. So again, these are the initial kind of overview specs. Over the next couple of weeks, along with the Wave app and RemoteConnect, we'll be providing more details on this. And for more of a technical overview, stay tuned. We have a webinar planned 2 weeks from today to specifically talk about the technical aspects and show you how to set this all up. That link will be included in the wrap-up email you get after the webinar today, and I have it on one of the last slides. So now that I introduced you to the ecosystem and talked about really the anchor or the central component of that ecosystem, the UCM6300 series IP-PBX, or what, from the marketing standpoint, I want to call more of a unified communications and collaborations manager. Now we're going to go over and talk a little bit more about the Wave app and UCM RemoteConnect. So showed you this earlier, and we've really just kind of focused on that central part there so far, the UCM6300 series. And now the Wave app is what allows anyone to access their UCM6300 series from anywhere on any device, an Android and an iOS app, as well as desktop as well as desktop version for PC and Mac. Allows you to use any of those devices to make and receive calls with SIP extensions registered to the UCM 6300 series. And UCM RemoteConnect is really it is the ideal way to ensure that those remote connections are secure. UCM RemoteConnect also allows you to create secure remote connections with Grandstream endpoints, IP phones, and whatnot, to allow your teams or your customers' teams, whether they be in multiple different offices, whether they're all working remotely, whether they're moving back and forth, to have a flexible solution. So you can really see that this whole ecosystem was designed based off of, a lot of the changes and the new trend. I don't want to call them trends, but the new reality that we're seeing within the business world across across the entire world. In terms of many businesses adjusting to be more flexible, to have hybrid workers, to support more remote workers, to increase office locations. That is exactly what this solution is for. Here's a little bit more. This isn't my favorite, but I decided I would include it anyway. This is for those of you looking for maybe a little bit more technical diagram here. The UCM RemoteConnect is really kind of what allows you to extend the UCM 6300 series securely, outside of the local network, and Wave allows access to the UCM 6300 series, any SIP account or any user registered to it, accessible from anywhere on any device. And obviously that pairs with SIP endpoints, whether they be on your premise, as it shows here in different offices with remote workers as well. So the Wave app, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, we have for the last, at this point, I feel like it's probably 7 or 8 years, had an app that we have called GrandStream Wave. Within the last month or so, we have changed the name of that legacy app. It is now Wave Lite. And so this new app is what will be Wave, or the Wave app going forward. So this is a mobile and a desktop app that provides all of the voice and video collaboration tools that any business or any worker who is using a 6300 series is going to need to communicate and collaborate from everywhere. As you see, it is ideal for remote workers, for hybrid workers, for businesses, or for businesses or users that would just kind of prefer to use a desktop or a mobile app. Maybe somebody who's traveling a lot, for example. Altogether, this Wave app, again, just offers a really easy to use platform to join meetings, schedule meetings, hold meetings, not just meetings, but also meetings, calls, and conferences from anywhere on any device, available for Android and iOS, as well as for PC and Mac. And it pairs with the UCM RemoteConnect cloud service to create a fully secure connection with remote users. Should mention it now. I'm sure there'll be a question. You don't have to use UCM RemoteConnect for this, but as you'll find out, it is at least initially going to be a free platform and really offers some great security features. So, you know, there's really no reason not to use it, to be honest. So again, mobile app for Android, iOS, desktop app for PC and Mac, allows any user to access their UCM 6300 series SIP account, make and receive calls, join meetings, schedule meetings, conferences from anywhere on any device. And again, this is the Wave app. And the previous app, or the open soft phone app that we had, is now called Wave Lite. Nothing's going to change about Wave Lite. It will continue to work with any platform. This new Wave app here is specifically for the UCM 6300 series. Just like I mentioned, iOS and Android, PC, and Mac, built-in presence, pretty much everything that you're used to or that you would want from a web meetings or from a desktop soft phone app is essentially what this is. Supports headsets and webcams for using like our GUV series with Wave meetings, the ability to schedule meetings, full HD video support, full HD audio support. Again, really the ability to connect anywhere, anytime, on any device. So the Wave app is what really allows the UCM 6300 series to be accessible from anywhere on any device. The Wave app is really specifically what offers that functionality to be flexible, to support a business on-site, remote, hybrid, when they're traveling, whatnot. So that is a quick introduction to the Wave app. The third part of the ecosystem that we've touched on a couple of times here today is UCM RemoteConnect. Hope some of you may have also heard a little bit about this over the last couple of months. And so basically what it is it is a, it allows, as I've mentioned a couple of times here, UCM RemoteConnect is a companion cloud service for the UCM 6300 series that provides an always-on automatic NAT firewall traversal. It is really ideal for remote users, remote workers, businesses who might have a UCM set up on one location, but they're supporting people working in different offices or remote. Just to, again, to build a fully secure solution for remote workers to protect the connection and encrypt the connection between the UCM and these remote users, just to make sure that your UCM platform and your business communication or communication and collaboration solution is always fully secure. It is zero touch, out of the box, ready to go, set up through GDMS, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that in just a second. But it allows, again, like it says on the bottom there, allows remote users and devices to securely reach outside the UCM 6300 series from your corporate network. You know, I've had conversations with Hugh in the past, and that across the world, over the last couple of years, one of the most popular support questions or tickets we get is how to easily enable remote connections with our UCM. And with the 6300 series, this is the way to do it. Always on, automatic NAT firewall traversal, zero touch, out of the box, ready to go. And as I'm going to tell you here in just a second, we're launching it initially as a completely free to use program. So there's, again, really no reason not to use it, as it adds that extra layer of security, not just for your remote workers, but also for your entire business solution. So the UCM RemoteConnect service, again, this is at least it is a cloud service, and like I'm going to show you here in a second, initially being released of charge. So again, cloud-based NAT firewall traversal runs on Amazon Web Service, and obviously everyone's familiar with AWS. So pretty much top-notch reliability within that side of the house. It is extremely easy to use. It is fully integrated with GDMS. So there's no extra interface that you need to use to set it up. There's no extra separate website you have to go to sign up or to set it up. It's all just through GDMS. So as we'll tell you in a second, literally all you'll have to do is integrate your UCM 6300 series with GDMS, and then you can go in and set up and enable UCM RemoteConnect. The other great thing about RemoteConnect is it is fully customizable. It mentions plans here. We're initially launching it with one plan, but you'll see there's a lot of different features and functionalities that you have the ability to access through this to make it very customizable. So this platform, the current plan for us is to launch this. We're calling it an open beta. I guess that's kind of what it is, but it's more or less just free is the way that we're initially going to launch it. You're going to have access to all of the features that you see here. Again, set up through GDMS. This is for the UCM 6300 series. And all of these features that you see here, the automatic firewall, up to 32 concurrent sessions, 5 gigabits of cloud storage for backup and recording, advanced system diagnostic tools, reports and alerts. What else do we got here? Remote management of the UCM 6300 series and its endpoints. So again, this will be launched along with the 6300 series and the Wave app as the third component of that UCM 6300 ecosystem. And it will be available off the bat for free. So definitely a great option, something that, especially as more people around the world work remotely and as more businesses are more geographically dispersed, this is something that really every business needs to ensure that not only their local network is secure, but that their remote workers are able to access the platform securely, and that those remote networks that might be users might be using to access the UCM are also fully secure as well. So that's the UCM RemoteConnect. We talked about Wave, and we began to talk about the UCM 6300 series IP PBX. So those are the main 3 new parts of this ecosystem that will launch towards the end of October or into November. We've mentioned it a couple of times throughout here, but essentially the 4th part of this ecosystem is the Grandstream Device Management System. Mentioned it many different times throughout. All of everything we talked about here, the UCM 6300 series, the Wave app, and UCM RemoteConnect can all be set up, managed, configured, deployed, etc., all from GDMS. So it gives you a centralized cloud-based platform, great for IT teams or great for resellers to be able to configure, monitor, and troubleshoot GrandStream devices. Also, those using, obviously, the Wave app as well, all from GDMS platform centrally. And to give you more of an idea of truly how easy everything that we just talked about is to set up. When you do get a UCM6300 series IP PBX, all you're going to have to do is go to gdms.cloud, create an account, which, by the way, GDMS is free in case you didn't know. Always has been, always will be. Or log into your existing GDMS account. Number two is associate that new UCM6300 series with your GDMS account, and then you can start to manage it, to create access through the Wave app, to create the secure connections, what accounts or what lines to enable those on, all of that through GDMS. So the whole ecosystem can be set up, managed, deployed, monitored, etc., essentially from GDMS. So as we begin to wrap up here, I've got about 4 slides left, as we often do with new product introductions or product sneak peeks. Like to wrap up with giving you a little bit of an idea of who this is for and kind of the target markets. And I talked a lot about this as we went, but just generally, the landscape, it has been going this way over the last couple of years, and I think 2020 just kind of pushed the needle further along. Lots of businesses all around the world are really moving to very models, especially now employees that are going to be dispersed between an office location, remote workers, multiple different offices. And that's really what the UCM 6300 series does. The whole ecosystem, again, as I've mentioned probably too many times throughout this webinar already, the whole platform is really created to offer both the benefits of both cloud and on-premise solution to build a hybrid platform that supports users or workers anywhere on any device with options to ensure their security. So medium-sized businesses, large businesses, corporations, enterprises, you saw that the high end of the 6300 series, the 6308, supports up to 5,000 users. With those 6 or 8 different meeting rooms, conference rooms built in. Government as well, obviously, more than ever before, dispersed. People aren't likely to have those in-person meetings as often anymore. And this gives them, frankly, a quicker and more efficient way to hold those meetings, whether you're the traditional business sector, government, call centers, whatnot. So those are kind of the traditional deployment scenarios, or what we're targeting. And again, really that focus on remote workers and supporting remote and on-site hybrid model flexibility, support workers wherever they are, which, what qualifies as under those remote and hybrid workers. Obviously, we talked a lot about all the tools that this whole ecosystem offers. As workers and those of us that travel a lot are hopefully going to get back to traveling relatively soon. This is a great way to make sure that remote workers, hybrid workers, or those that are often traveling are always able to access, communicate and collaborate from anywhere. Also mentioned multiple times throughout here that it's great for businesses with multiple offices or different branch offices, whatnot. All right, so that actually pretty much wraps up our webinar here today. A couple of slides left as I officially wrap up. So again, keep an eye out for this UCM 6300 ecosystem to be launched towards the end of October or in the early November. Over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks, we're going to be bringing you additional content, providing more details, more content, giving you more of a preview. What you saw here today was just the first start of the whole launch process, giving you the basic initial details, and we'll be providing more details over the next 3 weeks or so as we gear up to the official launch of these products. So keep an eye out for this ecosystem, the UCM6300 series of IP PBXs, which teams with the Wave app and UCM RemoteConnect to allow businesses to communicate and collaborate from anywhere on any device. And as I also mentioned a couple of times, and before we officially wrap up here today, did want to mention, because there's always, especially in these product introduction webinars, especially on a device like a PBX or a communications solution or platform, always a lot of different technical questions. So we will definitely invite you to join us for another webinar exactly 2 weeks from today, Tuesday, October 27th, where we will do a technical overview of the UCM 6300 series ecosystem. We will touch on more of the technical specifications, setup and deployment scenarios, potentially give you a little tour of the web user interface, how to set everything up, how to use GDMS to set it all up, basically how to deploy and to manage this whole platform as much as we can provide at that point. So join us for that. The link is here. I'll put it in the chat, but don't worry if you can't type or copy and paste it. Obviously this link will be included in the wrap-up email that you will all get, and will also go out to everyone that signed up even if they did not register. So don't worry about copying that down right now unless you want to go sign up for it right now. We will include it in the follow-up email you'll get. So if you're interested in more technical topics, have more technical questions, join us for this second part of the UCM sneak peek webinar series on Tuesday, October 27th at 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, which is exactly the same time that we started this webinar here today. And with that, I want to thank everyone for being with us here today. As I mentioned, this is the most anticipated product that Grandstream has ever come out with. I've been with Grandstream for 10 years. Hugh's been with Grandstream for 11 or 12 years, and we both agree. The initial, excitement and anticipation that we've seen around this product has been tremendous, frankly. So we're really excited. We think it really is the ideal communication solution for businesses to put in place to really support that flexible hybrid remote environment, which is really what the world is moving towards, pushed by the year 2020. This gives any business the ability to communicate and collaborate from anywhere, easy to manage and to set up from the back end. Just a truly fully encompassing unified communication and collaboration solution that allows businesses to communicate and collaborate from anywhere. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's webinar. Thanks to Hugh for helping to man the chat. In just a second here, once I pull down the screen, we can go through any questions. Actually, we can do it right now. Hugh, any popular questions or anything else, topics that we should address, or anything that you wanted to add?
Well, with 1,000 people in this webinar, there were a lot of questions. But I think if you could just real quick, Phil, put on that slide for the webinar link for the one coming up in 2 weeks. We have a lot of questions on that. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining today. This is just a sneak peek. So unfortunately, we weren't able to cover as many details as the questions that you have, but we'll definitely try to cover more details in this webinar coming up in 2 weeks. I think a majority of the questions revolve around the UCM RemoteConnect. I was asked probably about 99 times, are we able to use the UCM 6300 without GDMS or UCM RemoteConnect? And the answer is yes. You definitely can use it as a standalone device. You do not need to use GDMS, and you do not need to use UCM RemoteConnect. So you can continue to use that. I think the second most popular question is how do we upgrade from the UCM6200 series to the UCM6300 series. Grandstream will be providing a configuration conversion tool so that you can easily convert your UCM6200 series backups and load that onto your UCM6300s. It'll be a very, very nice and seamless transition over to the new series. I think those were the most common questions. A lot of the other questions, more technical questions, we can definitely answer during the next webinar.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Hugh, and thanks everyone for being here. As Hugh just touched on, as we touched on earlier, easily the largest and most highly attended webinar that we've ever had. Really shows the anticipation of this product. So keep an eye out for more information. Definitely sign up for this webinar, but definitely keep your eye out for more emails, social media content, web content over the next couple of weeks from us on this UCM ecosystem, which again is set to be launched towards the end of October or in early November. So once again, thanks everyone for being with us. I will get a recording of this webinar sent out to everyone later this afternoon or tomorrow morning, so keep an eye out for that. And we hope to see you again soon at another Grandstream webinar. As always, also, our best wishes out to all of you. We hope that everybody, not just yourself, but your friends, your family, your coworkers, hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy. And as always, if there's anything that we can do for you, please reach out. Thanks, and have a great day.